Cowboys Nation, I need you to stop everything you are doing right now, because what just happened is going to completely reshape how we talk about this franchise for the next decade. And if you are not already subscribed, hit that button right now, because Blue and Silver Nation is the place where you get Cowboys news the absolute second it breaks. And trust me, you do not want to be the last one finding out about moves like this. Now let me tell you exactly what just went down. Alvin Kamara is officially heading to the Dallas Cowboys, and this is not some random internet rumor or wishful thinking from a fan page, because Jerry Jones himself stepped up to the podium and confirmed it with his own words. The owner of the Dallas Cowboys looked into those cameras with that signature confidence we have seen for decades and told the world that the deal is done. And the crazy part is, this trade has apparently been in the works behind closed doors for weeks, while the rest of us had no idea it was even being discussed. So, let me walk you through every single detail, because this is the kind of blockbuster that changes everything for both franchises involved. The trade package heading to New Orleans includes a first-round pick along with a third-rounder and a young defensive piece that the Saints coveted, and in exchange, Dallas gets one of the most electrifying playmakers in the entire league. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, because the analytics crowd has been screaming for years that running backs do not matter, and you should never pay a premium for the position. But here is what nobody is talking about. Alvin Kamara is not just a running back in the traditional sense. This man is a genuine offensive weapon who can line up anywhere on the field and create mismatches that defensive coordinators have nightmares about. He can take a handoff between the tackles and grind out tough yards when you need them. He can split out wide and run routes that would make some receivers jealous. He can catch passes out of the backfield with hands softer than most tight ends in this league. And when he gets the ball in space with just a little bit of room to operate the defensive secondary, better start praying, because he is making somebody miss. That versatility is exactly what this Cowboys offense has been missing, and Jerry knows it. Think about what this offense is going to look like now, because I am getting chills just imagining the possibilities. You already have a quarterback who can make every throw on the route tree. You have CeeDee Lamb, who has established himself as one of the most dangerous receivers in all of football. You have an offensive line that has been developing and improving. And now you drop Alvin Kamara into that mix, and suddenly coordinators across the NFC have to completely rethink how they game plan against Dallas. Picture this scenario and tell me it does not excite you. Kamara motions out of the backfield while CeeDee runs a deep post route down the seam. The safety has to choose who he wants to help cover, and no matter what he decides, he is making a mistake, because both of these guys can torch single coverage all day long. That is the kind of chess match advantage that separates good offenses from truly elite offenses, and the Cowboys just leveled up in a massive way. But let me take you back for a second, because I want to make sure everyone understands the caliber of player we are talking about here. Alvin Kamara came into the league back in 2017 as a third-round pick out of Tennessee, and from his very first snap, it was obvious that the Saints had discovered something special. He won Offensive Rookie of the Year and earned a Pro Bowl nod in his debut season, which is absolutely ridiculous when you think about the learning curve most players face coming into this league. Do you remember that Christmas Day game against Minnesota, when this man scored 6 rushing touchdowns in a single contest, tying an NFL record that had been standing since 1929? That was not a fluke or lucky bounces falling his way. That was pure dominance from a player who refuses to be stopped when he gets into a rhythm. Throughout his career, he has accumulated thousands of rushing yards and hundreds of receptions while scoring touchdowns at a rate that puts him in historically elite company. This is a proven producer at the highest level, and now he gets to do it wearing the star on his helmet. Now let me address the Jerry Jones press conference, because if you did not watch it live, you missed something special. This was vintage Jerry at his absolute best, with that enthusiasm and energy that reminds you why he has been one of the most influential figures in NFL history. He stood there practically glowing as he described the weeks of negotiations and the conversations with the coaching staff about identifying Kamara as the perfect fit for what they want to do offensively. And then he dropped a line that is going to have the entire league talking for months. He said, "They are not just building a team anymore, they are building a dynasty." And adding Kamara is a statement to every other franchise that Dallas is done being patient and ready to be aggressive in chasing a championship. Now that is a bold declaration, and I know some people are going to roll their eyes because we have heard Jerry make big promises before, but when you actually look at the moves this organization has been making and the pieces they have been putting together, it is hard not to feel like there is a legitimate plan unfolding here. The comparison I keep coming back to is what happened when Christian McCaffrey got traded from Carolina to San Francisco. Remember how people questioned whether giving up premium draft capital for a running back was the smart play? And then what happened? The Niners went to the Super Bowl because McCaffrey elevated that entire offense and became the catalyst for everything they wanted to do schematically. I believe Kamara has that same kind of transformative potential, and the Cowboys brass clearly believes it too, otherwise they would not have pulled the trigger on this deal. Let us also talk about the scheme fit, because this is where things get really interesting from a pure football perspective. The offensive system in Dallas needs a 3-down back who can handle all the responsibilities that come with being a featured weapon. They need someone who can carry the load on early downs and move the chains when the run game needs to establish itself. They need someone who can be the primary outlet on 3rd down when the protection breaks down and the quarterback needs an escape valve. They need someone who can pass protect and pick up blitzing linebackers when the pocket needs to stay clean for those deep developing routes. Kamara checks every single box, and he does it at an elite level that very few backs in this league can match. His ability to create after the catch is genuinely special, because he has that lateral agility and balance through contact that allows him to turn a 5-yard checkdown into a 20-yard gain. Defensive coordinators are going to be up at 3 in the morning studying film, trying to figure out how to slow this offense down, and honestly, I am not sure there is a good answer. Now, I want to get into the locker room element, because this is something that too many people overlook when evaluating trades. We get so caught up in the stats and the highlights and the X's and O's that we forget these are real human beings who have to mesh together as a team. Everything I have heard about Kamara as a teammate suggests he is exactly the kind of veteran presence that can elevate a locker room. He is known for his work ethic and his professionalism and the way he prepares and takes care of his body. The young players on this Cowboys roster are going to benefit just from being around him every single day and absorbing how a true pro approaches his craft. That kind of culture building does not show up on any stat sheet, but it makes a massive difference when the games get tight in December and January, and you need everyone pulling in the same direction. Let me break down the financial side of this as well, because the salary cap is always a factor when you are talking about acquiring a player of this caliber. The Cowboys front office has clearly been planning for a move like this because they have the cap flexibility to absorb Kamara's contract without putting themselves in a compromised position for future moves. One report indicates that both sides are working toward a restructured deal that works for everyone involved, where Kamara gets compensated like the elite player he is, while Dallas maintains room to continue building around their core pieces. This is not a situation where the team is recklessly going all in and mortgaging their future. This is a calculated strategic acquisition that fits within a larger long-term vision, and that level of planning is honestly impressive. Now let us talk about New Orleans for a second, because this trade obviously has major implications for the Saints as well. They have been navigating an extremely difficult cap situation for years, and moving Kamara opens up significant financial flexibility that they desperately needed. The draft picks they are receiving give them ammunition to rebuild and find the next generation of players who can lead this franchise back to contention. For Saints fans, this has to be bittersweet, because Kamara has been the heart of that offense and the face of the franchise for so long. But front offices have to make hard decisions sometimes, And New Orleans clearly believes this is the right move for their long-term future, even if it hurts in the short term. Now, here is my honest prediction for what this Cowboys team is going to look like next season, and I want you to hold me to this. I genuinely believe they have the roster to be a legitimate Super Bowl contender, and I do not say that just to hype things up. The NFC is absolutely loaded right now, with San Francisco and Philadelphia and Detroit all fielding dangerous squads. But Dallas just added a major weapon to an offense that was already talented, and suddenly the margin between these teams got a lot smaller. I expect the Cowboys' offense to finish top 5 in the league next season, and a big reason for that is going to be the Kamara factor. Defenses are going to have to account for him on every single snap, and when you combine that attention with what CeeDee Lamb demands on the outside, something has to give. That is where the explosive plays are going to come from, and that is how you beat elite teams in January. Would you have made this trade if you were running the Cowboys front office? Let me know in the comments because I am genuinely curious what the nation thinks about giving up this draft capital for a proven playmaker. Here is my take. Jerry Jones has been criticized for decades for not being aggressive enough when championship windows were open. He has been called out for letting teams pass him by while he sat on his hands and watched opportunities slip away. Well, he cannot be accused of that anymore. He saw a chance to add an elite talent, and he pulled the trigger without hesitation. The excuses are officially gone now. The pieces are in place. The roster is loaded. And now it is time for this team to go out and prove they can put it all together when the lights are brightest. I am telling you right now, this trade is going to be debated and discussed for months until we actually see Kamara take that first handoff in a Cowboys uniform. And when that moment happens and he hits the hole and makes the first defender miss and accelerates into the open field, the entire football world is going to understand why Jerry made this move. This is the kind of acquisition that can define an era, and Cowboys fans have every reason to be excited about what is coming next. Make sure you drop a comment letting me know your thoughts on this trade and whether you think Kamara is the missing piece that finally gets Dallas back to the promised land. If you are not subscribed yet, now is the time because we are going to be covering every single development as this story continues to unfold, and you do not want to miss a single update. Cowboys Nation, the future just got a whole lot brighter, and I cannot wait to see what happens next.